Metropolitan. I want to make sure that you know who our moderators are for the evening. And our moderator to my right is Reverend Ryan Price of Broadway Baptist. I'm going to ask Chris to introduce himself so I won't mess up his last name. Amen.
Okay. I am Chris Howell, President and CEO of Chris Howell Communications.
So we will serve as your moderators. Before we're going to start in prayer. We want you to recognize that this is a house of worship. Amen. Amen. And so we're going to start with prayer. We're going to ask Reverend Donnie Cook to come and lead us in prayer, and then I'll give us our marching orders, so to speak. We'll set the house for rules so that we know that we will be able to be what we need to be for one another on tonight. Amen?
Amen. Will you join with me in prayer? Oh, creating and sustaining God, we gather this night out of concern for our neighborhood, our city, our county, our state, our nation, our world. We come to listen and to learn. May our conversations be grounded in respect and hope and honesty and compassion. We gather because we care for all, knowing that all people matter to you, O God. Things like income and education and address and faith are just some of the tools we use to divide people. And yet you ignore all our false divisions and care for everyone equally. Help us to call forth the best in our leaders so that they will make decisions that improve life for all of our citizens, no matter who they are or how they vote. Working together, we can do amazing things. And so we are bold to ask you to guide our leaders to be fair and honest in all our actions and listen to all voices. May we treat one another with dignity and compassion and respect. Guide us, encourage us, and lead us, O Holy One, and bring peace to our world. Amen. Amen.
We welcome you to the joint forum of the NAACP, the Fort Worth NAACP, and the Tarrant County Faith and Justice Coalition. We are housing it here at Couty Metropolitan, and we are grateful for our social concerns ministry who is hosting on this evening. We are grateful for your presence, and we hope that you are here to be informed. We know that politics is always, as they used to say, a strange bedfellow. We always have some things that are always circulating underground. But again, I want to remind us that this is a house of worship. And as pastor here, I will protect that. Amen? Amen. Now, I'll take the claps because that means that you're here. We want to make sure that each candidate is heard. So candidates, we're going to ask, and as we find who is in each district and we identify you, we want you to be on either side. So we are not waiting for the next person to find their way to the microphone. So that's one of our rules of engagement. The second rule of engagement is you will have 1 minute to introduce yourself at the very beginning of your segment. That is not your time to talk about yourself. It's to tell us who you are. Okay? When your 2 minutes begins, and that means 2 minutes, you will then tell us what you intend to do. You really will not have time to spend time on anybody but you. So take that time and use it wisely, because when 2 minutes comes, you'll get a 30 seconds when you get to 30 seconds before it's over, and you'll get a time when your 2 minutes has ended. And when your 2 minutes ends, your mic will be shut off. There's a reason for that, because we don't want anyone to feel like they get more time than someone else. We are here to be informed. This is not entertainment. This is life in Fort Worth. And we spend a lot of time on higher elections, as we call them. But these are the ones that make the difference for our lives. And so we are grateful for your presence on tonight. Candidates, please remember the rules of engagement so that you don't come for me later. Amen. And I'm doing this because I wanted to make sure that the other two gentlemen got to be your friend tonight. I am the person that's a part of at least of both of these organizations, both the NAACP and the Faith and Justice Coalition. And again, this is the house of worship God has given me to be guardian over. And so we will respect that. Amen? Amen. Did everybody say amen to that? Amen. Amen. And we will now get started. We want the president of the NAACP to just stand and wave her hand. She'll talk to you later. Our political action chair is in the back. Wave your hand, Angela. Wave your hand. Okay, that's the NAACP. Leader of our Faith and Justice Coalition, the facilitator who facilitates us is Reverend Ryan Price. But we have members of Faith and Justice Coalition in the building. Will you all stand, wave your hand if you're part of Faith and Justice Coalition? We're grateful for your presence on tonight. Now, we turn this over to Reverend Ryan Price, who will facilitate our mayoral candidates.
Okay, I want to thank you. My name is Reverend Ryan Price, as was just stated, senior pastor of Broadway Baptist Church, and am also one of the co-conveners for the Faith and Justice Coalition of Tarrant County. We're honored and want to say thank you to Dr. Edner and the people of this congregation here at Carter Metropolitan as well. And I ask that you would, just at the outset, join me in thanking them and hosting this. We want to get right to the mayoral candidates, and what I've been instructed to do is to introduce each of these candidates to come forward and to make introduction of themselves for 1 minute. I will call their name by the listing I've been given, which is alphabetical and according to those who have signed up to be present this evening, and I believe that we will be doing that with each of the with district candidates as well. So at the outset, again, you'll have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and the first person I would like to welcome is Mr. Donnell Battle, if he is here. Okay. Mr. Josh Lucas. And you have 1 minute.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Josh Lucas, and I'm running to be the next mayor of Fort Worth. Several things. I was born and raised here in Fort Worth, graduated from North Crowley. I was a choir president. I grew up going to Broadway Baptist. Started the City Music Education at Hardin Simmons. I worked some more at Tarrant County Community College. Now I'm a Master's of Divinity student at Bright Divinity. I am the Community Ministries Coordinator at Broadway Baptist Church. I've held that position for almost 3 years now. I was Cindy Stormer's campaign manager who ran for district judge as a Democrat countywide here in Tarrant County. Our county's 2.2 million people. That race is larger than many states. And it's important to note we got 6,000 more votes than the other 2 Democratic judges our first time running. I'm on the board of the Justice Network of Tarrant County, and I was on the Justice Committee at Broadway Baptist Church. I'm running very simply because of the rising tide of right-wing extremism, and it's time that we take our city back. We need affordable housing, we need diversion centers, and we need programs for our youth. But am I okay on time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
We have another 2 minutes.
Okay, and now next, Mr. Lawrence Walker, the second.
Can you hear me? I'm Lawrence. I'm running for mayor. I'm a native Texan. I'm a lifelong Tarrant County resident. I'm a homeowner, I'm a business owner, and I'm a property owner here in Fort Worth. I'm running for mayor to advocate for a more accessible, equitable, and transparent municipal government. But what I want to impress upon you guys is it's not just talking points. Sir? 30 seconds. Thank you. It's not just talking points. I want to speak, what does it mean to have an accessible government? And actually, before I do that, let's talk about my experience. So I have 25 years experience as a business owner. developing businesses, and I have 15 plus years consulting in the public and private sector, and I look forward to being your next mayor. Thank you.
Okay, now we're getting the hang of it here. 1 minute for Mr. Millennium Anton C. Woods Jr. And Chris Wood.
Can you, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. I'd like to share a personal story. A white female family member of mine in Fort Worth became involved with a local black man, and they felt marriage would be a mistake despite pregnancy. He took a job 3 hours away due to limited local opportunities. As a result, he missed the birth of his firstborn child. So I feel like this story highlights the urgent need for equal job opportunities for everyone, ensuring...
Chris, this is just your introduction. Just introduce yourself.
Oh, I just wanted to share that kind of stuff, though. Who I
Yeah,
am is
you
not
can
important to
introduce
me.
yourself in this segment. We'll come back and give you the opportunity to tell that story. So this is just the introduction of who you are. For the second time, we really wanted to see who you are, folks, and then we'll come back and get your platform actually presented into it.
My apologies, I'm not so much about who I am, but what I believe in. So as far as me, I've lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area since 1990s. I currently live near downtown. I've founded businesses, worked for large companies. I have several degrees, a bachelor's in accounting, MBA in finance. I am a mother, a grandmother, and an aunt. I have a very diverse family that lives in several Fort Worth districts. I started attending council meetings in the fall, and I felt there were areas that needed more focus, and that's why I ran.
Okay, thank you. Next, the next agenda item is for each of you to have 2 minutes to express, excuse me, do we have an additional person? Allison Kennedy, excuse me. Please go ahead.
My name is Allison Kennedy, and I'm representing the Socialist Workers Party in this election. It's a working class party. I joined the Socialist Workers Party when I was 25 years old. I've been a union member all my life. I was a coal miner for many years in the state of West Virginia, Alabama, Utah, and Colorado. And as a member of the UMWA, I was involved in many important labor battles and tremendous union strikes. The last coal mine I worked at, the last coal mine I worked in was in Utah. It was a non-union mine. Majority Mexican coal miners getting paid $5 an hour to work in a coal mine. We went to the union and got help. And we won that fight because it was the beginning of the struggles for immigrant rights and amnesty in this country.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other mayoral candidates that are present and did not RSVP but are present here? Okay, thank you. Now, the next item on the agenda is to have 2 minutes to speak about your agenda as a mayoral candidate. And I think in the interest of clarity, I'm going to change just slightly and go to the order of the ballot that is listed. The order in which your names are listed on the ballot. So the first candidate is then Josh Lucas. And you'll have 2 minutes, and Mr. Locke is keeping time.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. Good evening again. My name is Josh Lucas, and I'm running to be the next mayor here in Fort Worth. As I mentioned briefly, and finishing my remarks prior, I believe there's several issues we need to address as a city. First and foremost is that we need diversion programs for people who are mentally vulnerable. There's too many Fort Worth citizens who have died in the Tarrant County Jail that has not been addressed by our city municipality. If we look at cases such as the person who died most recently of starvation, excuse me, there was another death today. That was, and so we need to recognize that as well. But we need diversion programs in our city level, which is going to take the cooperation of the Fort Worth Police Department. Currently, we have a diversion program off of Lipscomb that's being mostly unused. And we need a police chief that we're about to hire in the summer who respects the use of a diversion program for those who are mentally vulnerable. And that is at the city level. I've been criticized by the Star-Telegram and probably other people for focusing too much on county issues, but as Fort Worth is 1.1 million citizens inside the county of Tarrant, we represent more than half of the people who are being incarcerated in the jail, and we need to utilize city resources to divert people from dying in the jail. The other issue we have is education. I believe we can rectify a lot of these issues with the arts. Like I said, I was a choir president at North Crowley. I was an all-state choir member. I understand the power of the arts to create critical thinking and understand comprehension. That's what literacy is all about. Thank you so much. My name is Josh Lucas. I'm running to be the next mayor of Fort Worth.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lucas. Next is Allison Kennedy.
Well, one of the central issues that I think faces working people in the United States with the deteriorating conditions we face here and internationally is that we have to break the Democratic and Republican parties. I don't think the big problem we face is right-wing extremism versus the Democrats. It's both parties that are the problem. The Republicans and the Democrats, they represent the wealthy class. They do not represent working people. I do a lot of campaigning. Workers think this too. They're totally disgusted and repelled by these parties. And workers are also concerned about the growing possibility of another world war with the use of nuclear weapons. Capitalist powers all across the world, including the United States, are rearming, building up their armaments to get bigger markets to make profit internationally. We saw the first war in Europe in 75 years in Ukraine. We saw the attack against Israel by Hamas, which was a pogrom meant to wipe out Israel. I defend Israel. I'm opposed to anti-Semitism and Jew hatred. I will use the mayor's office to educate why these are union questions, important questions for the working class. Because when the crisis deepens, they're going to use Jew hatred as scapegoats. They're going to scapegoat Jews and take the heat off of the capitalist system as the problem.
Okay, thank you. Next is Lawrence Walker.
So this is not my strong point, talking about what I'd like to do. So I'd like to point out that as the fourth largest city in the state, we're underserved in several key areas like housing, transportation, education, economic development, and parks and open space. And I would like to increase the access so we understand where all of our money's going, and the equity so that the money's spent equally across the city, and transparency so that we know that it's being done. And I have the ability to build consensus to get things done. I don't know how to give great, flourishing promises, though. Please vote for me as your next mayor. I'm Lawrence Walker. Thank you.
And Millennium Anton Woods, or Chris Wood.
The most important part of my platform is I would encourage self-regulation, because by the time you hear the sirens, it's already too late. I feel that citizens should more often take care of business instead of calling the police or going to court or speaking at a city council meeting. And what self-regulation is made of is 3 components. The first component, safety first. Never let your guard down. Don't trust anyone 100%. Always be aware of your surroundings. The second component is self-care. Every day, people need to be taking time spending it on self-care, taking care of themselves, doing activities that they enjoy, relaxing, taking care of their bodies, eating healthy, exercising. And then the last component, look out for each other and hold each other accountable. It is all too easy to walk away when someone is behaving poorly, and we can't do that. We have to hold each other accountable. So I'm a big believer in self-regulation. I would also work to improve environmental quality and environmental justice for all areas of Fort Worth. I would expand public transportation. I would pursue tenant advocacy support to reduce homelessness. I want to help Fort Worth become the great city that it's meant to be. I would welcome every voice and work towards solutions for everyone. I want to help all citizens become all that they can be. I want everyone to live happy, rewarding lives. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Jeremy LaBelle or Donnell Ballard. Okay, we have about 8 minutes where we have an opportunity to hear questions from those who are gathered here. There are 2 microphones at the center of the sanctuary, and we would encourage anyone who would have a question for the mayoral candidates to take the opportunity to ask their question. Please go ahead, sir. And please do use the microphone. That's imperative for our time. And if you could please make it clear whom you are referring the question to.
Referring the question to one mayoral candidate or all?
Either one.
My question is on immigration. We know that in Fort Worth, where I live, where I work, there are immigrants from all over the world, particularly Spanish-speaking. And today we see a concentrated attack, it seems, against their livelihood and their ability to work. So what would these candidates do in Fort Worth to protect and defend those citizens of Fort Worth who are immigrants?
Okay, thank you. A question for all of our panel. We'll take 30 seconds to answer the question individually. And please go ahead if you intend to answer the question, Maddie Parker or Josh Lucas.
Sure. So again, Josh Lucas running for mayor. I think it's important to note at the outset of this question that Manny Parker is endorsed by the True Texas Project, which is a proponent of the Great Replacement Theory. This is an organization at Kyle Rittenhouse at the Botanical Gardens for their annual celebration. But what we need to do is make sure that our selection of the police chief is someone who is not going to be harassing Latinx community members based on the color of their skin or their names. The selection, I cannot overstate the importance and the significance of the next chief of police selection. I called for a national search. I believe they're doing that. Okay.
And Allison Kennedy.
I think the most important question around immigrant rights today is to fight to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back to the United States from the prison he's being held in El Salvador. He is not a gang member. He's a 20-year-old union apprentice from Maryland where he was a sheet metal worker, and he was deported to El Salvador. His wife and his union are waging a courageous fight to bring him back home, and I encourage everybody here to attend the May Day March for Immigrant Rights and Workers' Rights in Dallas on April the 27th at 2 p.m.
Mr. Walker, Lawrence Walker.
I will protect due process. I mean, if people are here illegally, there's not much we can do about that. But we want to protect everyone's rights. So we want to make sure that due process is followed every step of the way. I mean, that's, I think, the best I can do.
Thank you. And Chris Wood.
You know, I would start with fairness. I was at a bus stop, met a guy. He was a legal citizen. His wife came from Mexico. She hadn't gotten her papers in order. She didn't get a chance. She was confronted in the store and deported, and he was heartbroken. So let's start with fairness. Give people a chance for the proper documentation.
Thank you. Thank you to the candidates for respecting the time. We have time probably for one more question. Please go ahead.
Yes, I am Ms. Cunningham from One Side Neighborhood Association. And basically, my question is accountability. Okay. Are you a person of your word? A word is a person. Your bond is your word.
Okay.
Back in the day, are you a person of your word?
Okay. We'll take that question again, going in order with Josh Lucas.
Well, I think my political action has been centered around reforming the Tarrant County Jail. Just 3 years ago, United Fort Worth reached out to the Broadway Justice Committee, which I was on. There's a really important story that I read in college called The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, which is kind of comes from my heart of why I'm in this work. It's about a town whose joy is centered around the suffering of children under a public building. And there's been babies who have been born and died in our jail. There was a young man, Kyrie Campbell, who had the cognizance of a 7-year-old. The gist is, I refuse to walk away. I was born and raised here in Fort Worth.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. And next, Allison Kennedy.
Yes, I'm a person of my word. I support the working class. I think the working class has to take political power in this country. The situation that we face here and internationally is a very serious situation. Everything that is going on internationally affects people here in Fort Worth. There is a growing possibility of a world war. You got to think about that with the existence of nuclear weapons. This could be prevented if working people, if we build, which my party is about, building a working class.
Thank you. Time. Next, Lawrence Walker.
I'm a person of my word. It's one of my greatest strengths.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker. And then finally, Chris Wood.
I am a person of my word. If a citizen came to me with an issue, I'm going to get back to you. I know things happen, things come up in life, but I will get back to you. If I can't get you the answer you want, I'm going to tell you why. But I am a person of my word, and I will follow through. I will get you an answer to any issue you have.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one more question for the mayoral candidates. Go ahead, please.
For the mayoral candidates, the majority of the homeless centers are centralized, homelessness shelters are centralized in the southeast quadrant, which is over on East Lancaster. We end up having all these people filtered over into the southeast community between Rosedale, Vickery, Riverside Drive, and we end up, it's affecting our property values. Children don't feel safe to walk. Parents don't feel safe to let their children go to parks. I'd like to know what resources, if you are mayor or if you represent the current mayor, what resources will you put in the future to help to alleviate this problem?
Okay, a question. Go ahead, Mr. Lucas.
So one of the first issues we took on with the Justice Committee of Broadway was permanent support housing for the chronically homeless. I think the city advocated $5 million for that, and the county advocated $50 million. I would like the city to step up and play a more active role in some of the homeless issues that we have here in Fort Worth. $5 million is a generous amount, but I think we can do a lot better considering we just spent $250 million on a new city hall.
Okay, now listen to
Serious crisis of homelessness is totally related to the lack of affordable housing for people that want to buy houses and working people that want to rent apartments. You can't afford it. If you lose your job, you're in deep, deep problem. And if we are headed into a recession, we're going to see more of this. So I'm for a mass public works program, the working class fighting for a federally funded mass public work program to build housing, affordable housing.
Okay, thank you. And next, Lawrence Walker.
We need to share the burden across the entire city. We have the resources, we just need the will to start working on a solution. So as mayor, I'll make sure that we get the resources and the attention that it needs. But it's not going to be an easy answer. I mean, it's an issue across the entire nation. So I mean, it's going to be a long, slow process, but absolutely more of the city needs to share in the responsibility of finding homes for people who don't have them.
And finally, Chris Wood.
The homeless issue is very complex. What works in one city does not work in another. I have recently learned that tenant advocacy is a big way to reduce the homelessness, so that's what I would start with. Dallas has a tenancy advocacy group. Fort Worth does not. I would establish one, and that's the first step I would take, but I would take many steps to try to reduce the problem.
Thank you. I ask for everyone to join me in thanking these mayoral candidates. And now, I will turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Pastor. Now we move into City Council District 2. Absolutely. For those of you who wrote questions down, we will come back to those questions at the end if we have time. But as we continue, we only have 5 minutes in this segment, so I want to get these gentlemen up. Joe Ponce Jr., are you here? He's not here. Carlos Flores, if you will please, if you'll introduce yourself, and then we're going to go into your 2 minutes of stating your platform, and then we'll get into some questions.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos Flores. I'm the incumbent running again for re-election for City Council District 2. A little bit about me. Born and raised in the city's north side. I continue to live there. I'm a native Texan. I have a home, and I'm happy to call home with my wife and 2 children. We enjoy the north side because of its deep roots. I have deep roots cast in the city. I know my neighbors very well, And as a child, I served my community at the church level and also at the civic level, volunteering for crime watches and other things that came up that were school or church related. Before serving on the city council, I also served on many boards and commissions of the city of Fort Worth, and that experience has really shaped what I bring to the table and being an effective councilman. Thank you.
All right, and again, if you will take 2 minutes, you can remain there. You can take 2 minutes, and you all can be thinking of your questions, because after this piece, you can then ask your questions. But if you will take 2 minutes to just tell us your platform of your election.
Sure. I have 3 priorities. And straightforwardly, these are very consistent priorities. Ever since I started running, these are priorities that I feel have the most benefit to the entire city, not just my district. First, lowering the property tax burden, on residents. What have we done on council? I'm proud to say that since I was elected in 2017, the property tax rate has dropped. And if you plot it, downward slope, and that's a good thing, right? It's something that city council can do. It's something we've been very consistent about. What else have we done? Since 2017, the homestead exemption for 65 and older with disabilities. That was at $40,000. Now it's at $80,000. We doubled it. Public safety. That's something that affects us all, because crime in any place in our city affects the entire city. We must have a holistic approach to it. With tools like CCPD, we're able to affect good changes. And these are not reactionary. There are crime prevention, positive programs that we have to fund at the CCPD level. We've hired more police officers. Our city is growing at a very fast rate. We must keep up with that. We must have officers patrolling in our areas, and those officers must be very competently trained and live and breathe community policing. And that's establishing trust, and that's a two-way street, in my belief. The third thing, again, something that affects everyone: roads, streets, the maintenance and repair of, including all other infrastructure. That's very important, because a city that is not mobile is crippled. We can't function effectively as a city unless we have a good road system. And that also includes public transit. I've been an advocate for it. In fact, the North Side was the first to launch the commuter rail, or Tex rail. And I'm proud of that. We're going to continue looking at that. With Panther Island being in District 2, that's something that we also look at. What does the future hold to move our growing population? Those are my 3 priorities.
All right, thank you, Mr. Flores. We now have time for 2 questions. Again, the mics are in the back of the room. For those of you who have just come in, we have time for 2 questions of Mr. Flores. Anyone living in District 2 has a question for Mr. Flores? All right, well, I have a question for you. Again, no one has a question. You're making your way. Again, if you would please go to the mic and ask your question. For the benefit of everyone from here to here.
I don't live in District 2, but I do have a question. You highlighted the property tax reduction, which has gone down greatly, and then you subsequently listed many things that cost money. How do you intend to pay for increased policing, increased public transportation, all the things that you listed that property taxes are going down, also supporting in public schools?
That's a very good question, because all of this does not come from the general fund. For example, I mentioned CCPD. That's a very effective tool. 1 cent of our taxes goes to the CCPD fund. It's at approximately between $84 and $86 million. That's a lot of money to bring to resources that not just police officers need, but our community programs need. We've increased that to nearly 20% in the last cycle. We're going to continue to look at crime prevention programs. You also mentioned transportation. We give a half penny to Trinity Metro. There's discussion on council to devote more of that money.
Okay, we have time for 1 more question. Yes, sir. If you go to the mic, and if you guys, if you know you have a question, if you would, just for the sake of time, go ahead and go to the mic so we can get through them just as quickly as possible. This is the last question.
Mr. Flores, I think you just said something kind of incorrect. CCPD money originally was for crime prevention. That money is earmarked, and it can only go for crime prevention programs. And also, a lot of money has been gone over the years. They've been using that money to support the police department, because we don't have, what is the budget for the police department? We don't have a police. If you take the CCPD money away, you don't have money for a police budget. So I think there's something wrong, and it's the half-cent sales tax, unless y'all raised it to us for 1 cent sales tax, and we didn't know about it. So it's a half-cent sales tax, goes The CCPD is supposed to go to crime prevention and also supposed to go to youth program, which none of it seems to get out there. So I just want to make that clear now.
And a couple of things, and forgive me if I misspoke on the amount, but as far as the purpose of CCPD, that is the same. The purpose of the CCPD also, and this is not a well-known fact, is that it exists also in case of an economic downturn in the city where the city can't afford to pay officers, that fund comes into place. The entire name is called Crime Control and Prevention District. Yes, sir, my father was the first Crime Control Prevention District president. At meetings I used to go when I was a kid and listen in on these things. But you're right, over time, the CCPD fund has grown and we're able to use it for more things, including,
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We're going to now move into District 3. And we're looking for Jason Ballman and Michael D. Crane. Jason, if you go here. I don't know that Michael is here. So if you'll take a minute to introduce yourself, and then we'll come into the 2-minute point of your platform.
Absolutely. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. Thank you for being here yourself to listen to all of us. My name is Jason Ballman. I'm running for Fort Worth City Council, District 3. I grew up outside of Waco on a little family farm, the son of 2 public servants. Public service is ingrained in me. It's what I do. It's why I worked for the Southern California Earthquake Center for 10 years, leading public health and safety projects all around the world, but those started in neighborhoods. It's also why I stepped up to be a council member in the city of Marfa out in West Texas. And boy, did I fight for an upgraded fire department. Did I fight against predatory real estate practices such as short-term rentals. And of course, balance the city budget, because that's what makes the budget work for its people. Now in my spare time, I got a dog, a German Shepherd, I love him. I got a partner back there, love him too. And I got 11 chickens in a big, big garden. Thank you, where's my chicken people? Thank you. And gardening is my biggest thing. You can take your kid out of the car.
Okay, Jason, you can remain there. You can remain there. And then again, if you know you have a question for Jason, you can go ahead and get prepared for that, because after this 2-minute piece of stating his platform, you'll then get the opportunity to ask him questions. So 2 minutes to state your platform.
Sure, thank you. First, basic infrastructure in District 3. In the entire city, we are woefully behind on what growth has happened. We need a walkable city, we need a light rail, we need a trolley system where that can fill in some gaps too. We need better sidewalks that are actually ADA compliant. Stop talking about it, just get it done. That's what I will do, that's what I have done in my career and in my civics. 2, livable wages. We have got to find jobs, more jobs here in this city that pay $25 an hour plus, because that's what it takes to afford a basic 1-bedroom apartment here in Fort Worth. That's what it takes. We're not even talking about benefits yet. We're just talking about hourly wages. 3rd, affordable housing and healthcare. They're intertwined, just like livable wages are, but we have got to get more strategic. We have got to not just look at the feel-goodness of new construction, but where can we put in accessory dwelling units in existing zoning? What can we do to just make this city more affordable overall? Get rid of short-term rentals that are encroaching into neighborhoods and making property values skyrocket. So, if this campaign sounds like something you're into, because it seems like you are, baldwinforcouncil.com, volunteer, donate, follow us on social media.
All right, good stuff. Jason, stay here. One question. We have time for one question. Anyone have a burning question for Jason Ballman? Going once, going twice. All hearts and minds are clear. Jason, let me ask you. Mental health and gun violence are both urgent concerns. What specific role do you see City Council playing in expanding mental health resources and creating safer neighborhoods?
Well, a lot of this comes down to leadership and funding. These are complex problems, so we're obviously not doing enough to keep up with the rising rates of gun violence, the rising rates of healthcare issues, mental, physical, and across the entire board. I support easy activities such as gun buyback programs. I also support being a loud advocate for reducing gun violence. That takes leadership, takes being vocal. And I don't see a lot of that happening with my opponent and others.
Good stuff. Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you.
we have several candidates. In District 5, I'm going to go with Kenneth Bowens Jr. No. Mary Keller. Mary, if you'll introduce yourself. This is just where you just introduce yourself. We'll bring up all the other candidates. You'll come back.
Hi, thank you so much for having us tonight. My name is Mary Keller, and I'm running for Fort Worth City Council District 5. I am a resident of District 5 for over 30 years. I've worked for 30 years for the Tarrant County Juvenile Services, where I serve kids and their families. The last 8 years, I've served on the Tarrant Regional Water District, representing this county and 10 other counties, where I'm proud to say I brought a lot of accountability and transparency to that agency. 15 years I've been fighting for my neighborhood, and if I'm elected to District 5, I'll just keep on fighting for what's right for my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Deborah Peoples is also on the ballot. Unfortunately, she's not here tonight. She had a emergency medical procedure on yesterday. She didn't want to be here, but she's not here tonight. She is doing fine, but she had a procedure that prevented her from being here. Next is Bob Willoughby. Bob's not here. Michael Moore. 1 minute to introduce yourself.
My name is Pastor Michael Moore. My name is Pastor Michael Moore. I am a resident in historic Stop 6. I grew up in Stop 6, and I have moved back to Stop 6 in order to help bring revitalization to our community. I presently serve as a neighborhood president of the historic Stop 6 neighborhood. I also serve as the vice chair to Parks and Recreation. And I also have served as a landmark commissioner for District 5.
All right, thank you. Marvin Jose Diaz. Not here. Okay, so we're now going to go back with Mary. If you will come up, and this is where you take 2 minutes to state your platform.
For the last few months, I've been walking my neighborhoods. It's a huge, District 5 is huge. It's been a great opportunity to meet different people, but everybody seems to have the same concerns. One is irresponsible development. It's creating horrible traffic, horrible road conditions. Also, there's a lack of amenities in our district, which other districts take for granted. We need more of that. And community safety, homeless, panhandlers, and crime. Those are the 3 primary focuses of the people in District 5, which I will do my best to address. Thank you.
Okay, Mary, if you'll stay there. Reverend Moore, if you'll come to this mic, and you've got 2 minutes to state your platform. Again, be thinking of your questions that you're going to ask each of them, because once he finishes, we'll go into your questions.
Revitalization of our communities, improving our parks, making sure that our communities remain safe, making sure that we create opportunities. I know that the bedrock of our community is going to be small businesses. One of the other platforms that has now been added, and that's literacy. I think that the major problem in our city is with literacy. And so when I'm elected, I will work to help bring safer communities, improve our parks, revitalization, create opportunities, and fight against literacy.
Thank you, Pastor Moore. All right, this is the opportunity for you all to ask each of the questions. We have some written questions for these candidates. There's also mics here while they bring us those questions. If you want to go to a mic, you have an opportunity to ask your question. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question as it relates to criminal charges and/or criminal backgrounds when you're running for a position of power that's going to be over our community. When do you think that you've had enough rehabilitation and/or your background is ready for you to say you want to govern over a whole district? District 5 is pretty large. It's one of the largest next to District 8. So I would like to know, how would you if you have a criminal record, how would you actually facilitate other people that might be in your community that have criminal records and thinks they deserve the same opportunities and/or changes that you might have as a council person?
Is that to any specific candidate?
Any specific
Either one?
person.
Mary, you want to go first?
I absolutely do not have any kind of criminal record, but I believe in rehabilitation. However, I think if you're going to be serving, representing the people, you should not have a criminal record, and you should have lived by some high moral standards.
Well, I think first of all, you couldn't run for office if you had a criminal record. There's a rule that requires these candidates not to have criminal records. So I don't know how that question applies, but I will address the question from this standpoint. I think in city government, people have a tendency to focus on the things that don't help communities. I think individuals within our communities have all had opportunities to. That my time.
Any other questions? We have room for one more. I believe the gentleman's going to come back here.
This is directed for you guys. We've heard oftentimes that when it relates to funding, if you were part of the city council, what would you do to help maybe work with the commissioner's court to ensure that when things are earmarked for a particular program, that funding actually goes to that particular program?
Scream loud. Make sure that our voices are heard. If funds are allocated for city, I think that they should be spent within the city. If they are meant for the county, then of course they belong to the county, but making sure that our voices are heard and making sure that we don't sit silently by and allow that type of injustice to occur.
All right, good stuff. If you will please give them a hand. Thank you both for being here. We now move to District 6, and we have Adrian Devine Smith, Marshall Hobbs, Mia Hall. And 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Mia Hall, and I'm running to be the next councilwoman for District 6. Born in Eastwood, raised in Arlington, my husband and I have resided in District 6 for 23 years. We've raised our family in District 6. We have a 22-year-old son, Xavier, attending Texas Wesleyan University. We operate a small business in District 6, located in the Como community in Hassel for 10 years. I am a veteran educator by trade. I have become a range from substitute teacher to executive director, founder of the Young Women's Leadership Academy. I am a devout volunteer, served as a trustee for Crowley ISD School Board since 2015. I serve on the executive board for the United Way of Tarrant County, and I've also been zoning commissioner under our current councilman, Jared Williams. I am committed to serving in my community, and I would like to bring my expertise and my experience to ensure that we are not left behind in District 6 and that we garner all that we deserve as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. I believe you could stay there. We're looking for Daryl Davis. Daryl Davis, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daryl Davis. I am a proud native of the city of Fort Worth. I have lived in this city for 43 years, and I am the proud dad of 2 amazing children. I have a 15-year-old daughter, Taylor, and a 10-year-old son, Gavin. And it is through the lens of a dad that I have approached public service. I currently serve as the president of the Crowley ISD Board of Trustees, where I was elected president in 2024 through the confidence of my colleagues. Professionally, I am the vice president of workforce and career development, where I lead a social enterprise by the name of Upspire, where where I have 230 individuals who are part of our team. And since Upspire's existence, we've helped at least 350 individuals transition out of homelessness into homes. I would love to have your support to be your next council person for the city of Fort Worth, District 6.
Okay. Daryl, if you'll stay there. Mia, if you'll take 2 minutes to state your platform.
Very plain and simply, I am running on safe neighborhoods, improved infrastructure and enhanced city services, and economic development for District 6. Just like you, I am a citizen. And I have spent the last couple of months talking and convening with our District 6 neighbors to find out what concerns bother them. They're tired of hearing gunshots at night. They're concerned about the speeding cars. They're concerned about the absence of speed mitigation, stoplights, traffic signals, which I guess it's the same thing, the stop signs and things of that nature. We've had loss of life from speeding. We've had students hit in traffic circles. We don't have a fire station beyond Columbus Trail, which makes 15 minutes for a response time for those of us who live further south in the district. We have an inordinate amount of high-density development along the Chisholm Trail. We also are very unique in that we are made up of new development, and we also have Asian communities, and we have the historic Como community. We all want economic development. We want sustainable economic development. We want sit-down restaurants. We want to work within our communities. We want to have walkable communities. And so I am bringing my expertise, garnering change through governance, which I've learned as a trustee, which I've learned as a zoning commissioner. I want to bring my skills to help us get the outcomes that we deserve. We have a promise of a supermarket, and we are more than 3 years away. We've been waiting for HEB for quite some time. We don't have a fully staffed police department or a police station in our district. We have a lot of opportunities for improvement, and I want to be the voice for our District 6 neighbors, and I want to ensure that we get the outcomes that we deserve and have a thriving community.
All right, thank you, Mia. Daryl, for 2 minutes.
Thank you. So when Dr. Jared Williams announced that he was not seeking re-election, my phone immediately began to ring. I was overwhelmingly called by many of my neighbors in District 6 asking if I would consider running. And so as a result, we began to have what I like to call listening sessions all throughout the district, both in the far southwest portion of the district as well as in the Lake Como community. There were 3 things that were resounding, regardless of where individuals lived throughout our district. There were 3 overarching things that the neighbors wanted to see happen. Number 1, safer neighborhoods. We want to make sure that as individuals are navigating through our neighborhoods, on our neighborhood streets, that they're able to do so safely. To Dr. Hall's point, I had to call those parents of those 2 students who were walking from their neighborhood middle school, who were then hit by cars as they were riding scooters through the traffic circle. We have to make sure that our neighborhoods are safe so that, again, the neighbors that live in our communities are able to navigate safely. I agree, we do need 2 fire stations in our district. And I'm glad to say that there is a fire station coming in Lake Como, but we also need an additional one in the southwest portion of the city. Right now, it's slated to be a temporary facility, as a matter of fact, a trailer. And so when you have a medical emergency, seconds matter. And 15-minute response times are unacceptable. And so we've got to make sure that our neighborhoods are safer. Number 2, sustainable income for families. The truth of the matter is, and I'm sure many of you like I in this sanctuary, it's getting more and more expensive to live in the city of Fort Worth. So we have to make sure that the people who serve our city and the people who have always called Fort Worth home are able to live in this city comfortably. Last and certainly not least, we have to have smart, responsible growth. It doesn't make sense to me that we have rooftops before we have roads. We got to make sure that there are critical infrastructure projects in place to ensure that as we grow in a healthy manner and we not swell.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you both. Stay, if you will stay there. This is an opportunity for you all to ask your questions. Again, if you have a question for each of these candidates, go to the mic. There's a mic on either side of the aisle if you just joined us. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you guys for being here. I wanted to know, I live in your districts, specifically, what do you think you can do on the city council to affect change with respect to some of the things you mentioned and the cost of what it's going to cost to build out infrastructure, to make sure servants can afford to live, we have affordable housing, a fire station. Other people talked about other things with housing. All of these things cost money, and I just want to understand, how do you think will generate that additional revenue for these things?
Sure. So you asked kind of a big question. We do have an opportunity, we have an upcoming bond. I think it's very important that the city takes time to have listening sessions to hear what people want for that. So we have an opportunity there. We also have our annual budget, which is a very large budget, and I think we have to be very intentional and fiscally responsible and earmark funds so that we're able to do projects in the future. Also, with regards to roads and repairs of that nature, we have to also have a strategic plan on how we want to grow for the future, develop for the future, and also remedy and
Thank you, Peter. We'll give you an opportunity.
Thank you.
Take about 30 seconds if you can.
Sure. I totally agree. We have a 2026 bond that is coming up, and that is going to be imperative to getting some of the development that we need to happen in District 6. We can't build for where we are. We have to build for where it is that we're going. And so the bond is going to give us the opportunity to do that. Also, we have PAYGO funds that we can utilize as well to handle some of the upgrades and some of the revitalization that we need to see, particularly from a transportation and pedestrian standpoint. And so utilizing funds that are earmarked in the budget, as well as PAYGO funds, as well as the 2026 bond, that's how we're going to get some of these things done.
All right, thank you. So if you both say we have time for one more question.
One quick question. You both mentioned that you had outreach to the community. We live in the community, and no slight to either candidate, I didn't receive, or I don't remember receiving any notifications about public hearings or anything of that nature. But my question is, and this is not just you in general, the city often says that it's reaching out to make sure people hear and to speak. I've been at meetings that no one knew about until after it was happening. What will you do differently to make sure we know where our voices can be heard and how we can reach each of you if you're elected?
So to start, I'll just address the future. I would create listservs. I would make sure that we're using robocalls. I would make sure that we're getting contact information. I would make sure that we have social media outlets. I would make sure that we're accessible to you, and not only that we have planned town halls so that you know in advance when they're going to be, so that they're routine and not just happen, by happenstance. So you can count on them occurring. Also will be accessible to you, but we would also have a digital newsletter.
So you bring up a valid point, and I totally agree. I believe that as elected officials, we have a responsibility of being present. And so my approach to meeting the needs of my community is going to be somewhat different from anything that's happened on the city council. What I plan to do is what I like to call Councilman on Your Corner, where there will be a pre-established, pre-published schedule where I will hold office hours in the district. So whether it's at one of our libraries or it's at one of our community centers, all residents in District 6 will know exactly where I will be holding office hours, and I personally, not staff, I will be there at every scheduled time.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, thank you both. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Good man, Pastor B.
Good evening again. We are moving now on to District 8. I'm going to read the names, and then we will then begin the process of introductions. If you are here, stand when your name is called so we'll know which candidates are here. Chris Nettles, Arthur McCoy Jr., Peyton Jackson. Gentlemen, will each of you take a mic? We will go in the order that you are on the ballot. Chris Nettles, you will have 1 minute to introduce yourself, followed by 1 minute to introduce yourself. Mr. McCoy.
Thank you. It is an honor and a privilege to represent you guys. I have represented you since 2021. My name is Chris Nettles. I am a native of Fort Worth from the South Side. I am a father of 4 children, married for about 15 years. I'm a pastor in your local community. I am and have been an activist on your streets. You have seen me march for different causes. I have a business in the district as well, serving children in our school program as well as a child care facility. That's who I am.
30 seconds.
All right, thank you. And I'm excited to continue to do the work for the Fort Worth City Council, on your council. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Arthur McCoy Jr. I'm a candidate for City 8. My family has been in public service for ISD over 125 years. I'm a father of 3. I live in the historic South Side. Family has been in the historic South Side now going on 74 years. I'm just truly delighted to even be a candidate in this race. And I will say to you, District 8, that it's time for integrity and leadership to come back to District 8. It's time for us to find out where our tax money is going. Right now, District 8, we are 15 years behind the rest of the city. So I'm giving a charge to all the voters out there. Vote number 2 on your ballot, and I'm gonna go find the city money and bring our investments back into our community.
Mr. Mr. Nettles, you have 2 minutes to state your platform.
Thank you. So when I first got elected in the district, there was no development that was happening in District 8. And since I have been elected, I will tell you that we have brought 1,500 new jobs to District 8. The salaries are ranging from $60,000 an hour, $6,000 a year. We have also approved 2,200 new homes to be built in District 8. It would just take you a moment just to drive up and down throughout District 8. You will see cones and different constructions happening, sidewalks, curbs improving. And so what I'm going to continue to do is to continue to build homes. I have been your advocate. We started at $14 an hour when I came on city council. I asked for $18. We got up to $18 for the minimum wage. To be the 11th largest city in the United States of America, $14 is not even close enough to be able to raise a family. I have continued to be an advocate for the city of Fort Worth. I have brought $418 million of investment to the district. So what am I going to continue to do? Work on our crime, bring our crime down, continue to lower our taxes, continue to support our neighborhoods, continue. And so when people say that there is no investment being in District 8, that is completely not true. And when people say that our tax dollars are not being spent in District 8, I want you to go and look at those receipts. You have seen so much development in our parks. $7 million came to our parks in District 8. Some was going to go into North Fort Worth, and we was able to bring it to the southern part of the district. And so I'm happily proud to tell you that District 8 is on the rise, and we are moving forward, and we cannot afford to go backwards.
Well, District 8, he says all of that, but let's do some fact checking. He says he's brought $320 million, $50 million to District 8. He said he's brought over 1,500 jobs. But Robert Stern says that none of those jobs came to District 8. Nobody received those jobs in District 8. And let me tell you why. 10% of the people in District 8 have college degrees. 37% of those people have high school education. It's only 20% of those people that have somewhat of a degree and associate's degree. So, District 8, we need to get back to integrity. At the end of the day, we stand up here and we make valid points about different stuff, but at the end of the day, when you get down to the meat and the potatoes of the situation, this goes back to integrity. This goes back into to really knowing where your tax dollars are going. And as your next city councilman, I'm gonna make sure that, number one, District 8 has integrity. We all need to start right back there.
We're good on time? Okay, great. Are there questions? I see there are people at the mics. Listen, we only have a very short amount of time between for these candidates. If we hit time, I will cut off the questions. Everybody understand that? Candidates, you have 30 seconds to answer whichever question comes to you. If the question is for both, you both have 30 seconds. Those of you asking questions, make sure your question isn't longer than their answer. Who was ever here first? Yes.
District 8 includes School District 4. In School District 4, only 2 out of 10 students are reading on level. Predominantly African American students are in District 4. So 2 out of 10 African American students are reading on level. That's been for decades due to systemic racism and inequity.
Question, please.
Question is, what will you do to openly advocate for Black students that is the lowest performing student group and has been for decades? You've been supporting charter schools and promoting them. What will you do for forward Black students?
Well, I just had a conversation with Mr. Wiles today, and I feel like as your next city councilman, he and I have to be together on all phases and all pages. I truly believe in after-school programs. I truly believe as a councilman, they were saying, well, stay out of education. He even made a comment, well, go run for the school board. But as your councilman, a councilman to me in my heart is he has this district, District.
Mayor Parker put you all in
Ma'am,
Let me ask a question.
answer that question, and that's the only one question at a time.
I didn't have a question.
Okay.
I think you have a better chance at running the school board, but nevertheless, we have already advocated as part of the Fort Worth City Council. We did a joint letter to the the school board, and we have asked for studies, as well as I have worked with Wallace Bridges, and we're going to do what we call an opportunity to read, where we're going to go into school and help read to our children. I'm excited about Read to Win coming back online. I saw this so Nicole Reed launched his program, and so I'm going to support that as well.
Thank you. Let me warn both candidates. You are speaking to what you will do. No talking underneath your breath. This is not a debate. Next question.
Thank you. This is for both candidates, and they can answer it whatever time you have convenient. I live in District 8, and I've heard everyone here talking about safety and money. And I realize that one person can't solve every problem. But I would love to see or hear or see some transparency about those of us who live in this community that see some of these drug houses that start in our community. We as seniors, veterans, parents, whatever, we can't just jump up and move to another location when these people come in. We file complaints.
Ma'am, can we get to the question? I understand.
My question is, I'd like to see some transparency. Where do you all put this out? Where do you let us know as taxpayers what's being done, and how are you solving this?
So yes, I'll answer the question. When there was an issue in the southern part, the northern part of Southside, I brought out a police tower. We put it right there. I can't remember what street it was, actually on Ground Turtle, to try to deter some of the violence that was happening. I got some more calls that people were hanging out at the little event center on Evans Avenue. We brought a police tower over there. And so when you say transparency, we're going to bring the policing to the neighborhood as much as we can. We need more dollars to support those towers. I asked for that in our work session as well.
Well, the tower was actually on Bessie Street in New York that he's referring to. So I've had conversations with those guys that you're talking about, and I'm all for moving them out of the way. I have a discussion with them on a daily basis, saying, hey, you know, the community is tired of this. So I don't really need the police to go talk to nobody. I'm gonna go talk to them myself, and if that doesn't work out, then we will get a little bit of law enforcement involved. Yeah, well, beyond that, yeah. But I you know what, I would like to kind of talk to those guys, because, you know, to me, if
I'm sure a sweet, simple person. Same question. Are you a person of your word? And the word is bond. Will you have money for our whole South Side, for crime, activities for the youth, grocery store, transparency, parks and recreation, and education to help the whole South Side and our area?
Thank you.
Sure. Yes, thank you for the question. I am a man of my word. I told you when I was running that I was going to bring development to District 8. We brought the development. I said we're going to bring back the historic South Side and the Evans and Rosedale project. Just short months from here, we'll be breaking ground for the Royal Capitol that's going to bring $70 million to this district. I said that we were going to build affordable homes. We built 2,200 homes. So the things that we studied back in 21, we actually seen those things happen on our city council today. And so I will continue to do that.
Mr. McCoy?
Yeah, I just want to bring total transparency back to the community. I live at 1208 Stella Street. You can come and knock on my door. I'll answer my door. So I just want to bring total transparency back to the historic South Side, and also to District 8. That's my number one goal.
Yes, thank you. Next question. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm a business owner in District 8. I grew up in District 8. 76104, I believe it out my veins. It's like, but the It seems like we talk about homelessness across all the candidates that have been here tonight. District 8 has the worst part of it because you got the homeless shelters there. And then we got the spillover from the people who don't go to the homeless shelters. There was a Senate bill that just came out that just cleared 2623, where it has all the homeless shelters in jeopardy because they're too close to a boundary. I just know you guys are familiar with that, and what do you plan to do if we have to move our homeless shelters?
You know, thank you, sir, for that question. When we talk about this homeless situation, I think I did a video on my Facebook where I walked out of my garage and in less than 70 yards there was a homeless man with a camp. I think you know, Fort Worth, homelessness is an issue as far as the whole city is concerned. And like I told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, we're pretty much excited about our cattle. We're pretty much excited about our oil, but I mean, we find a way.
Your time is.
As it relates to the homeless shelters, these homeless shelters were put into the District 8, from many 50, 60 years ago, and it has brought down our community. And I will tell you, I am aware of that bill. I'm aware of a lot of bills that are just outrageous, that's going to dismantle the city of Fort Worth of local control. And if you're not aware that the state is trying to pull local control from the cities, and so you can call your state representatives and call anybody that you can. We actually have state legislators that are lobbying for us. And so we're going to do what we have to do to support the city of Fort Worth.
I'll be very succinct in my question. Okay, number one, there are no youth programs in the south side of Fort Worth. I've lived out since 1969 when I first got out of service. I've been out for 50 years. There's never been any youth programs there, and we've fought and asked the questions time after time again, why can't we have youth programs in our community?
Thank you.
As far as the homeless, wait a minute.
You got one question though.
Okay, one more question. Okay, we need
No, you have one question. Your question is about youth programming. Candidates, please answer that question.
Well, you know what, I think, from what I've been hearing is that these recreation centers, they have gone up in cost. You know, not every kid or not every parent can afford to go to these community centers. I live on Stella Street, and I just told a young man the other day that, you know, it's a vacant lot. I was just gonna put a basketball goal up. I was gonna take my chances, put a basketball goal up. But we really need to find ways to get these kids involved, because I know in the historic South Side, there's nowhere for them to go.
Mr. Nettles.
We do have youth programs in District 8. The YMCA has a program every other Friday where the young boys can play basketball from 8 p.m. to 12 midnight to keep them off the streets. We have programs at the Southside Community. VIP is actually at the historic Southside Community Center. And so we do have youth programs. They might not be necessarily known to you, but we do have them in the district. And the city of Fort Worth also gives money, as Carlos talked about, from our CCPD funding to those youth programs.
Next question.
To both candidates, what do you think about term limits to help force accountability? Oftentimes, individuals run and they run on a platform and they're going to do certain things, but oftentimes they stay in office for extended periods of time, and the things that they ran on to be elected.
Please get to your question.
Go undone. So what do you, as candidates, what do you think about term limits?
Thank you. Gentlemen?
Well, I would ask the community in the last 4 years, when you walk outside your door and get in your car and drive down the street, what has changed? What has changed? So when you ask the question about term limits, I think we need to hold our city councilman, our mayor, everybody accountable to their platform. So I mean, do I agree with having limits on candidates? No, I don't. But at the end of the day,
I have some question. I think term limits is like you stated, is on the ballot on May 3rd. We put that to the voters, I believe, a couple of years ago, where you can determine on how many term limits, how long they can serve, and how much they can get paid. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you are the ones that vote on these. And so if you want the city of Fort Worth to have term limits, you have to actually go to the ballot box and vote for that. It did not pass. And so right now, the only term limits is when you go to the polls and make sure you vote for the candidate of your choice that's doing what they say they're going to do.
That's time. Question here, and then we will be done with District 8 questions. Yes.
I'm trying to be brief. My church is in District 8, so my question is, I follow the CCPD funding on many levels, and we don't have as much transparency as I think is necessary. We have a lot of equipment and militarization, but not a lot of community programs. So what would you do to actually make the budget conversation much more holistic and involved versus the summary budget that we see at the council chamber, but actually bringing the community into the work sessions and the full development with the police department on the CCPD, not just the results after it's been brought as a summary to the community.
Okay.
So, again, we do have the work session to talk about the CCPD funding. And then we also have a separate CCPD committee that's a makeup of the mayor and council. And it normally happens on every fourth Tuesday around, after the 10 o'clock meeting, around 1 or 2 o'clock. You have to follow that. And we'll do a better job of posting that on our social media to let you know about that. We have had several conversations on how we can put more dollars into our community versus, I'm gonna tell you, I was one of the only votes that voted not to support getting new tasers. I was one of the ones that voted not.
Well, I feel that, at the end of the day, it just goes back to transparency. It goes back to transparency. So, I mean, I don't know who you voted for in the last election. I don't know who you're going to vote for in this election. But when you do go vote, you need to vote about transparency. At the end of the day, community, we need transparency. We don't need no more excuses.
Next question.
What is the city of Fort Worth going to do about mental health people? It's a lot of people that have mental health problems that are on the streets. They go to jail, they let them out, they get on drugs, and it's the same thing over and over again. It's too many mentally disabled people living on the
Please
streets.
state your question.
That's it.
Your question is, what are they going?
What is the city of Fort Worth going to do about mentally ill people?
Either gentleman want to handle that first? Council.
One, we shouldn't let people run for office. The second thing is we need to make sure when it comes to the mental health issue is that we have what we call the HOPE team. The HOPE team, when we first did it, it was 6. We increased that to 12. That HOPE team deals with the mental illness. Now, there's a real conversation we really have to have when it comes to our budget. We're talking about the budget, I think Mia talked about that's coming up. We need to put dollars toward our mental illness to help support our Tarrant County. That normally falls under the Tarrant County.
That's your time. Mr. McCoy?
I think that's a big issue. I really don't have all the answers or solutions for that, but ma'am, I do understand what you say when we do have a lot of people walking around, and it's a crisis in the historic South Side. It really is. It's really unsafe for the children who ride bicycles in that area. So do I have all the answers for that? No, I don't. But I will assure you, as your next councilman, I will address those issues.
Thank you both. Thank you, audience, those of you who are here to get information. Thank both of these persons who are running for District 8. Thank you for your time and for your
We will now get into District 9, and we're looking for Jenny Stewart, Michael Rollerson. Okay, 1 minute to introduce yourself, Michael.
Hello, I'm Michael Rollerson, and I'm a construction and customer service worker out here in Fort Worth. I've lived around the DFW area essentially my whole life, and now I'll start by stating the obvious. I am from the younger generation in Fort Worth, and I think that's really important because, you know, right now in the city council, the vast majority of the people are all about the same age, and I think being from the younger generation out here in Fort Worth, I have a very direct perspective on how Fort Worth has largely become, you know, unaffordable, and that's directly due to the failure of past generations dealing with, you know, poverty, dealing with inequality, dealing with inequity, and I believe we need to address these problems. And being from this younger generation, I think I have some key insights on that.
Okay, Michael, I think you did a little bit of it, but you now have 2 minutes to state your platform.
Yeah, a little bit. So inequity. I was excited to come out here with the NAACP because I think a lot of the problems they address is problems I also care very deeply about, which a lot of that comes down to inequity. We're at a point in this country where there's 3 individual people that have more wealth than the bottom 50% of this country. 3 people have more wealth than 180 million people in this country. And you can see that, the direct results of that with, you know, the presidential election, but also this municipal election. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars going to individual city council members right now in this race. And what that does is it drowns out the voices of just average working class individuals in this country and the city as a whole. And what I propose to actually deal with this is to tax the rich. We should do a vacancy tax on a lot of properties that are being unused, especially in the downtown area. We should be providing much more jobs programs for people, and we should be, you know, increase actual public housing. We don't have any publicly owned housing out here in Fort Worth. We as a city should own these housing, so we're able to provide a much needed thing for the people's community, given how fast the homelessness population has grown out here in Fort Worth. And to deal with homelessness, we need to deal with just affordability as a whole in Fort Worth. For my first apartment out here in Fort Worth, you know, it was about $1,000 a month. It was out in Jason Bowman's district in District 3. And then after that 1-year lease expired, they increased the rent by an additional $200 a month to $1,200. And what that actually does is, you know, it makes it largely more and more unaffordable for many people in this community because your landlord is able to increase your rent by 20, 30, 40, 50%, 200% if they wanted to. We should declare a municipal housing crisis in Fort Worth so we're able to enact emergency legislation so we can have like a rent cap, a 5% rent cap per year. So they're not.
All right, thank you, Michael. Just to be sure, Elizabeth Beck. Is Elizabeth Beck here? I think she was, okay. So now this is an opportunity for you all to ask your questions. Any questions for Michael? A couple of mics on this either side.
Yes, you mentioned that you are in construction. I'm an environmental construction owner myself, and what I'm looking at with things that are happening outside of what your office does and whatever, is I have a depletion of people that I can choose from my workforce because they're gathering them up and they're sending them back to who knows where. How do you plan to change things for the Latinx community so that we can have more access to business owners like me that are looking for those qualified people to work?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. First of all, I did attend one of these protests going on for deportation. It's disgusting what's happening right now. And, you know, 100 years from now, they're going to look at it very, very poorly. And what I have to say to that is, you know, the Texas government does a lot to fight us on this issue. They made sanctuary cities, you know, essentially, well, they did make it illegal out here in Texas. And I think one of my key responsibilities would be actually to use the bully pulpit, use our voices as one of the largest cities in Texas as a whole, 4th largest city in Texas. We should use our ability to put as much pressure as possible to change the Texas government policies.
Thank you, Michael. One more question.
Yes, I've been listening to the candidates. So, question, you have good ideas. If you lose, will you work with the one that's winning and bring forth those good ideas to improve the overall community?
Of course, I want to win. I absolutely will be more than happy to work with other candidates. Obviously, you know, I'm younger, so I have all the time in the world. And I'd be more than happy to run again next time if I lose this time, and hopefully, you know, work with a lot of different people in our community. I know that a lot of the issues I talk about are lot of campaign funders don't want people to actually address. So, but I would be more than happy to, help city council members right now and in the future.
We have time in a second for one more question. If someone has a burning question that you have for Michael. Is it not one? Okay. Michael, question for you would be, how would you work to ensure that the residents in your district feel their voices, that they're seen and heard?
They're seen and heard. It's dealing with the issues that are actually, affecting them. The number one issue is always affordability. Essentially in Fort Worth, it's been getting more and more unaffordable. And like I was talking about earlier, I was talking about having publicly owned housing that we can actually do at the actual cost of the housing itself. So we can do it much cheaper than housing on the market. I was talking about declaring municipal emergencies, so we're able to do rent caps. Vacancy tax would help allow more people to put money towards affordable housing out here in Fort Worth and also the jobs program.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for being here. If you will give him a hand.
We are now down to District 11, and if we are doing as well as we are right now, we'll be able to get back to some of those mayoral questions, but we want to make sure that we handle everyone who is here to represent their area. Jeanette Martinez, are you here? Hilda Cusco, are you here? Okay, and Christopher Johnson. So all three of these candidates are here. I'm going to ask one of you to come on this other side. So whoever's name was first, if you'll come, the person who is second, if you'll come on the other side. Hilda, you'll come on the other side. Okay, you can go through. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Jeanette Martinez, then Hilda Cusco, and then Christopher Johnson, you will be at this one. 1 minute, please. You will hear 30 seconds when you get to 30 seconds. Jeanette Martinez is first.
Hi, good evening. I just want to thank the NAACP for the invitation. Jeanette Martinez, I'm running for Fort Worth City Council in District 11. I wanted to share that firstly, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I am a product of Fort Worth ISD. I won election in 2023, June 2023, and I am working I want to run again to build on the good work that my office has done. We've made a lot of impact, and so this is just a continuance of that, and hope to continue to be an engaged and proven leader within the district.
I am Hilda Cusco. Thank you for having me here. I'm running for the Socialist Workers Party as a candidate for City Council District 11. If we don't start with the world, we're not going to understand and see what the running down conditions are here in our neighborhoods. It's the result of profit-first capitalist system in the crisis of imperialism's decline. So the key to move forward is to break away from the promises of the capitalist parties, fight for the working class to take power and join the worldwide struggle for socialism. Bipartisan defense also pressed and exploited by capital. I stand with the people in Israel as a refuge for Jews. We are for the sovereignty of Ukraine and condemn the
Mr. Johnson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Johnson. I'm a native Texan and a lifelong City of Fort Worth resident. I am also a business owner with 25 years experience.
Thank you for your introductions. Ms. Martinez, will you please come and give us your platform? You have 2 minutes. At 30 seconds, you will hear 30 seconds.
Thank you. I neglected to mention that I have been a public servant for 12 years on top of serving on council for the past 22 months. I will continue to run on my top 3 priorities, which are public safety, economic development, and infrastructure. Affordable housing, of course, is another top priority. When I came into office, public safety was the most prominent concern, and so I am glad to share, or happy to share, that I have a really great relationship with the NPOs in my district, with commanders, and we have been able to address several areas within the city of Fort Worth. Nuisance properties, we have shut down drug houses, and we really need to make the neighborhood safe to bring in economic development, to bring in that funding for additional infrastructure. And so just making sure that our communities are heard. I have a monthly newsletter that goes out. We are very active on social media, and I will continue to go to the community to hear what it is that they have to share with us, what concerns they have, what ideas they have. I have even gotten ideas from going to career days at schools, you know, from neighborhoods where I have not heard certain things. I have heard from the children themselves. We have done outreach to churches in the district. We have done outreach to all the schools. We have a great relationship with our trustees with the Fort Worth ISD and the charter school principals within District 11. And so going into the community has really given us ideas on where to serve. And so I will continue to be as engaged as I have been and look for other ideas to also engage the community, whether it's through town halls, resource fairs. We're going to do a health fair in Carter Riverside. We're also going to, we've had job fairs as well, so just several events that we've done that are different, like Environmental Day in Poly, and so that was a new event that we partnered with Black Coffee, and
Ms. Kuzma.
I'm as a union member, I think that the labor movement need to fight for massive federal jobs program to put millions to work at union scale wages, shorter work week, no cutting in pay, and cost of living adjustments. And we feel that also in the housing system is the same thing, that we need to change the situation, the political, who is in charge, who rules. It's not a question of race, but it's a question of class. We're in a highly class society, and that's why we need to break from these political parties that are for the rich, from the rich, Democrats and Republicans. And the same goes for housing. Every time there are more homeless and homeless people, and that is because profits is in the middle. All the housing is just for profit, not for working class, as they are evicted, and we say cut the moratorium, provide more jobs in scale wages.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes. As a business owner, property owner, and entrepreneur, I'm uniquely qualified to lead and be the next City Council of District 11. I'm running for City Council District 11 of Fort Worth to advocate for more accessible, equitable, and transparency. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I've canvassed the neighborhood, talked to the residents one-on-one to find out what matters to them. The residents in District 11, they're scared. A lot of them don't even know what their NPO is. There's gunshots. They're not getting any answers. I did want to run, but I couldn't sit back. So my platform is being transparent and working with the citizens one-on-one. Also, a lot of the boards that we have, there's not a lot of residents that sits on those. As the president of Polytechnic Neighborhood Association, I've been advocating for over a decade. I want to get more citizens that live and work in the community to be part of these boards. That way you have a more balanced governance, not just one-sided. So I'm running to advocate for District 11.
Thank you all for your introductions and for your platforms. We will start with this mic for your question, and please identify whom you are asking the question to, or if it's for each candidate.
Thank you. I'd like to direct this question to Hilda Cusco, the Socialist Workers Party candidate, but other candidates can feel free to respond as well. Ms. Cusco, what have you done about the deaths in the Tarrant County Jail, including the death of former Marine Anthony Johnson Jr.? What local protests have you been a part of, and how would you use your campaign on this issue? Thank you.
My campaign is against the death penalty. My campaign also supports all the fights against police brutality. We think that the property class has the police, the so-called criminal law, is to terrorize people with jail, isolation in the jails, the death penalty, and frame-ups.
Is there anyone else who wants to address that question?
Ma'am, I didn't catch your name, but I work for Tarrant County Commissioner Roderick Miles, so we get a lot of correspondence as to how individuals can have their voices heard at Tarrant County Commissioner's Court. That is another hat that I wear, but if people reached out to my office through District 11, I of course would share that same information on how to come to Commissioner's Court, to have their voices heard, how to connect with their commissioners and judges and the judge, the county judge. And so doing my part into helping them find that information.
Okay. Next question. Mr. Johnson, you don't want to address that question? Okay. Fine.
This question is actually for Councilwoman Martinez. When she was running, we had never seen her in the community on any street. I actually started, myself and my daughter started an environmental coalition for the Echo Heights Stop 6 community because we was having so many commercial trucks and companies and industries put over in the area of Echo Heights. But there's only 751 houses, but across the street we have a gas well as well as a commercial truck company that was approved and/or as she approved it. So I guess my question is, when the community puts you in a seat that you said that you're going to serve and support and fight for, then why do you get in that seat and backpedal and not do what the community who put you in the seat is asking you to do to save for the health and the well-being of the community?
Respectfully, Tina, I believe you live in Stop 6, and when I was running for office, I did canvass Echo Heights, I did canvass Village Creek, I did canvass Fairhaven and other neighborhoods to hear from the community what concerns they had. I have successfully downzoned over 110 acres in and around the Echo Heights area, from industrial to lower zoning. The development, or the zoning case that went through, that was located outside of the neighborhood association in an industrial park.
That's your time. So just to correct, I own property in the Echo Heights area. Well, I'm just saying because
I understand,
yes,
but she did answer the question, and we understand the back and forth, but that's what we didn't want, so we're good. All right. Are there any other questions for our candidates in District 11? Going once. Questions? Twice.
Good evening, everyone. This is to Miss Councilwoman over there, please.
She has a name, please.
Hi, Ms. Martinez.
Thank you.
Ms. Martinez. I'm Melinda Hamilton, and I am a community activist also. But I just have a question. Is that not a conflict by sitting on the city council and working for the county? Would that be on the commission, at the commissioner's court? Is that not a conflict? Does that take you away from what the council people and your residents want in 11? And then you're also working.
That's your question?
Yes, that's the
okay,
question.
Please address the question.
No, there is no conflict of interest. I have sought legal advice from both the district attorney's office and the city legal, and there is no conflict of interest, or else I wouldn't have been able to run for office.
Thank you for your answer to that question. Thank you to each candidate from District 11, and will you all thank them for their Okay. I'm going to hand the mic back to Reverend Price because there were some extra questions from the mayoral persons. Are all of our mayoral people still here?
In order to expedite questions for the mayoral race, if you have a question for our mayoral candidates, I ask that you would go ahead and move to the microphone now. And I believe that we have all of our remaining mayoral candidates to my left. If one of you would come over here to my right, that would certainly help to expedite the questions. If we stay on time, the remainder of our time should be reserved for the mayoral race, and that'll be about 10 minutes. First question, please go ahead to my right. Yes.
On August 27, 2024, Mayor Parker made an unprecedented appearance demanding that all students be educated in Fort Worth ISD. My question for her, and maybe not for you all because she's not here, but where has she been? 2 out of 10 African American students have not been reading on level for decades. So I want to ask you candidates, and I would like don't say yes if you're not going to do it, a commitment to advocate for black students. Her speech was, said all students, but particularly black students are the lowest performing student group. So will you make a commitment to advocate for black students?
That's the question. Thank you. I'll give the opportunity for each of our candidates to answer that question. Go ahead, Ms. Lucas.
Yes, thank you for your question. I appreciate it. I think it's important to note that Mattie Parker announced sort of this launch of a political action committee 30 days before an election cycle.
Correct.
And that's a way to raise funds to back, politicians. And so what I would say is yes, I will pledge to advocate for black students. Public schools have just been defunded by the state. The Department of Education has been disbanded at the federal level. Our county.
Okay, thank you.
The city to be
that's your time. Allison Kennedy.
Yes, I will advocate for education for black nationality. It's very important. These are class questions. We live in a class-divided society where there's national oppression of black nationality that has been historic in the United States. But the thing we have to look at is how black proletarians, black workers have fought against this and achieved historic things. When you think of the conquest that happened in the 1960s, that inspired me as a young
Chris
person.
Wood, you're next. Thank you.
Yes, I will advocate for that. I spent 6 months teaching at Eastern Hills High School, and so I do have some first-hand experience. I don't fully understand why students don't enjoy learning. I know in the classroom it is hard to get all the students excited, but they recently started having coaches in the classroom. I want to wait and see how that does, but definitely want to understand why the learning isn't happening. Learning should be fun. You're supposed to get a release of dopamine when you learn something new. So try to make learning fun and then go from there, but definitely advocate.
Okay, thank you. And now to this side of the room.
So my question for the mayoral candidates, there is a huge amount of divisiveness right now in politics in general. I've spent most of my time recently at the Commissioner's Court dealing with some of that. As mayor, how will you build effective coalitions that will allow for holistic development and support within the community without the partisanship of one side always pitted against the other? How will you build those coalitions with people that may not be of your party or ilk to actually get some things done where we're not having these divisive conversations in the public sector?
Okay, thank you.
So I do believe in democracy.
I think it's really important right now that we listen to one another. However, it is, like you said, it's a very polarized time, and so if there are issues that I believe are in the interest of Fort Worth over the ruling class, which I think we have here in Fort Worth, I will always side with the people of Fort Worth, regardless of the issue. But I do think in democracy it's important that we do listen to our opposition, and we hear them out, and we give them a chance to speak.
Okay, thank you. Allison Kennedy.
I think it's very important to have civil discussion when you think of the crisis that we face in this country and in the world. We have to be able to discuss things and figure things out and a way forward. And I believe that, I defend the working class. I think that the working class has to take political power in this country. I think if we do that, we can create a different kind of society, a society that's based on solidarity and not profit.
Thank you. And now back to this side. And this will, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. My apologies, Chris. Chris Wood.
I would focus on what do we have in common, how can we build connections between people, what do we agree on, and then let's start talking about the differences. I colored my hair purple on purpose before I ran for mayor. It represents bringing blue and red together, and that's what I hope to do with people, bring people together.
Thank you. And my apologies again. Please go ahead.
My question, I listened to the mayoral candidate speak, and this is aimed towards Ms. Wood. Being an environmentalist and having an environmental construction company, I've noticed when Fort Worth goes on the blink, especially with water, the last time we had a water main bust downtown, they tested the water and there was 500 times PFAS that was actually in that water. And we learned that this is pretty much a problem across the nation, but especially here in Dallas, Fort Worth area. If you become mayor, how will you address the PFAS and other chemicals that are in our water?
One of the issues I spoke on in front of council was about they were putting in a PVC pipe on water that was going to a school, and PVC is very pervasive in the environment, and I'm all about cleanup, and how can we clean things up, what are some creative things we can do? Definitely, because if you have a toxic environment that affects everybody's health and well-being, definitely a priority, and I would definitely work to clean things up.
Thank you very much. And this will be our final question for the evening for our mayoral candidates. Please go ahead.
Okay, with the economy as it is today and the prospects of maybe even a recession, how would you use your office if elected to advance the fight for all working people in Fort Worth?
Okay, that sounds like a question for all of our candidates who would wish to answer.
I do believe that we need to do more work on attracting real jobs to Fort Worth. I think we only have 2 of the top Fortune 500 companies here in Fort Worth, both Lockheed Martin and either Alcon or Bell Helicopter. And so I would work to attract real jobs. And also, I think we have some money in the budget for grants to help develop local businesses and job training as well to support our local businesses. So that's what I would do.
Go ahead. Allison Kennedy.
I think that a big question facing us is organizing unions. We need more unions in Fort Worth. We need strong unions. We've seen, there's rising working class resistance in this country. That's very important. We saw 2 big strikes in Fort Worth and Molson Coors. I walked those pig lines. There was a strike in Arlington at the UAW plant. Very, very big change. Workers are rising up. They don't want to be pushed around anymore. We're tired of it, and we want to change. And I think we can fight for this, and that's what I will use the mayor's office.
Thank you. And our final response from Chris Wood.
I work and I search for inclusiveness of everybody. If a homeless person comes up to me and they have an issue, I'll bring it to the city council. I've written letters to Trump, to Elon Musk. I want to, and everyone in between. I want to work with everybody. Everybody's important. Everybody has a voice, and I'm going to bring everybody together.
Okay, thank you very much. Let us thank again our mayoral candidates who joined us this evening.
Will you join me in thanking our timekeeper for the evening, please? Thank you so much, Kendall, for your time and for being succinct and making sure people could hear you say their time was up. We want to thank our audio people in the back who would turn off the mic when people talk. Thank you so much. We want to hear from our illustrious leader of the Fort Worth NAACP for her remarks, and then we will hear from our political action committee person, Angela. You all will come together and you all can decide who does what. Will you join me in thanking every candidate who came to share tonight and for the peaceful way in which we were able to conduct this meeting. Thank you to both of our other moderators.
Good evening again to each of you. Is the mic on now? I hope it is. We've heard many times individual thanking the NAACP, but what I'd like to ask each of you to do is put your hands together, thanking the Faith and Justice Coalition. If you go to the commissioner's courts, they are there. If there's any reason for advocacy, they are there. And so again, I can't say thank you enough for these group of individuals who are always willing to join in with the NAACP to help us do what we should be doing as an organization within this community and throughout other communities as well. So again, thank you to the Faith and Justice community and to my friend, to one who I can pick up a phone and call or send a text and say, hey, you're needed, Mr. Chris Howard. Again, when I call him, although he is not nearby, he makes his way to wherever it is he's needed. And I want to say thank you to the candidates. For those of you who were so gracious enough to be obedient in using this opportunity not to attack your fellow candidates. Thank you to those candidates who are obedient. This is not a time, and it was not a time that we set aside for you to come in and use the time to let folks know what you thought about your opponent. This was a time that we wanted to set aside for you all to have an opportunity to share what it is that you believed in, to share what it is that you plan to do, to share what it is that, again, is imparted to you, to be imparted to the community. So for those of you who were very obedient with the rule that was given, it was not in such a manner that it was not understood. I want to say thank you. This is not an attack section, but again, it was a time that you were given to make it known, because that's what we're here for. People need to know what it is that you represent, so that whenever they go to that poll, they can make an educated decision as to who it is they're desiring to step in the seat, wear the shoes, and be the voice for what they believe in. So again, I want to say thank you to those candidates who used the time for what it was meant. Tomorrow is early voting day. With that being said, again, we hope that what you have received here tonight is enough that will cause you to add to what it is you already knew. To make a person know by what it is that you believe, to be able to address your persons, and to be able to enter into that poll booth and make a decision that, one, you will not be making it on attacks, but it will be one that would be based on the fact that individuals stood and stated platforms that were really of importance to you. I can't say that enough, but again, we want every person. I always say, don't just go alone. Each one reach one, and if we continue to reach one, we're going to have more than a few people at the polls. I like the question that was posed. What is it that you will be willing to do if you are not elected? That is an extreme important question. Because right now, some of the folks I heard, and I'm going to just say this personally, I don't know if that is something that I would be able to see that taking place. But in the meantime, I say to each of you, join hands and let's work together. We look forward to you going to the poll and an educated decision with what it is you're going to do. Without any further ado, I want to acknowledge our NAACP Political Action Chair,
the time is now. It's good that we attend all these candidate forums, but it's not enough. We must act on the information that's being given. It is not enough for you to be informed. I need you to mobilize. That means get to the polls and cast your vote. It means contact others and get them to the polls to cast their vote. That's the only way we really drive the change. It's good that we've talked. I have enjoyed it all. But now I'm ready to sit back and see what you're really about. But I know I'm singing to the choir here because we're all going to do that. But I offer up this challenge. Take 5, contact them, then ask them to hold themselves accountable. Not good enough just to say that they win. You know, we like those little stickers. We like to get those little papers to say that we voted and all that. Ask them to show it to you. From your Rolodex, you pick the top 5. You got 5 favorites in there. Then challenge yourself, stretch, go 10, but make them show you the receipts. I mean proof that they voted. With that being said, my favorite, my president, she talked about tomorrow begins this early voting. It is good that we know it starts. Do we know where we're going? Which polling location? But you can then use that as a platform to let them know we have voting centers in Tarrant County. So let them know that they can pull up a voting center that's closest to them, maybe by where they live, but maybe where they vote or where they work at, if you think of it. Where you need to go to the grocery store. It doesn't matter if it's in Tarrant County. Take advantage of that. Do they know their hours of operation? Let's talk about that. As I pull up my handy dandy and explore it. Let's talk about the hours for early voting because they change, but I want to make sure our people are ready. Tuesday through Friday, it's going to be 8 to 5, just like a work day for some, okay? But Angela, I'm going to be working during that time. I won't be able to get there. I got something for you. Let's talk about Saturday, April the 26th. That's when we're going to go 7 to 7. Oh, okay, that's good. Well, can I do that all weekend? No, you cannot. On Sunday, we're going to go 10 to 4. It is very important that they know it's not 7 to 7 flat every day. But on Saturday, because you've been at work on those other days, you can show up from 7 to 7. But on Sunday, in case you want to catch early morning service, you go after that from 10 to 4. And then next week, on Monday and Tuesday, those are the only other 2 work days. Monday and Tuesday of the following week will be open from 7 to 7. And then we know, of course, on the actual election day, May the 3rd, it will be from 7 to 7. I'm not going to be labored, but your call to action is just that, to act, to go and vote. But again, because you all are seasoned voters, just take some more people with you. And if they have questions and want to be informed, we have the Voter's Guide. The Voter Guide is a nonpartisan, a voter's guide is nonpartisan. But the key that I point you back there is that each candidate has their contact information in it. So maybe let's say you didn't get your question answered tonight. You reach out to them specifically. If you have burning questions that will prevent you from voting, you have that time to act now. I will not say anything more. I give you all a round of applause, but I want to see your look, put it on social media, give me your thank you, I voted. Thank you so much.
Let's stand for the closing prayer. Gracious God of us all, we give thanks for this night. So very grateful for Carter Metropolitan, Dr. Edner, for all of the work that has gone into this place, a holy sanctuary. And I pray and give thanks that it was kept that way this evening. We give thanks also for the work of the Faith and Justice Coalition of Tarrant County and the abiding work of the NAACP. God, we are so grateful for the historic, continued witness, organization, and of determination. And we are thankful this evening for all of the work that has been put into this forum and for the intent of bringing persons out to the polls. We thank you also for these candidates, and we're grateful that they have thrown their hats into this ring, and we ask your blessings upon them, each and every one, and their families. And we hear that question that was asked twice this evening. Are you a person of your word? And I pray, O Lord, that those who are elected will be that indeed. They will be persons of their word, for that is what we need, particularly in this critical hour for this nation. We ask that persons of their good word would be called into leadership, voted into office, and would have the courage and the determination to be people of their word. May this democracy be kept, O God, and we pray your blessings upon this city most especially. We ask all of these things in your holy and good name. For you are the Word, always and forever.